In the silent darkness of space, the galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. For almost 1,000,000 years, humanity had vanished, leaving behind ruins, whispers, and forbidden records. The alien empires thought humans were extinct, a race that rose fast and burned out even faster. But deep beneath the ice of a dead moon on the edge of the galaxy, something was waking up. A forgotten station, built before the fall, began to hum again. Its black walls glowed with strange symbols, ancient codes that even the most advanced AI could not read. Then, a pulse of light burst across the void. It carried a message written in the oldest of human languages, one that said only, "We are returning." On the capital world of the Zorith Dominion, the Galactic Council gathered in panic. They had all heard the signal, and they all feared what it meant. Because in ancient archives, it was written that when humans vanished, they swore they would come back stronger than gods. The High Chancellor hissed, "Impossible, humans are dust and myth." But the youngest counselor whispered, "Then why does the old system breathe again?" Light years away, inside the awakening station, a single cryopod opened. A man stepped out, his eyes bright like fire and his breath fogging the air. He looked human, but there was something different about him. He whispered softly, "How long has it been?" A cold voice from the AI core replied, 970,000 years since last activation." He looked out the window at the stars, and for a moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. "Then it's time," he said quietly, "for humanity to rise again." Across the galaxy, long-dead machines began to stir. Human satellites, thought to be asteroids, lit up with red energy, forming a web of light around distant systems. Each one transmitted the same message. Protocol Genesis re-engaged. In the shadowed halls of alien temples, priests trembled as the prophecy unfolded. They had always worshipped the story of the first species, the ones who shaped the stars and then vanished. Now that story was no longer a myth. The High Chancellor of the Zorith sent fleets to investigate, but their ships never came back. They disappeared near the edge of human space, a place once called Sol. The man from the cryopod walked through the ancient corridors of the station. AI drones floated beside him, scanning the structure. He reached a sealed door marked with a faded symbol of Earth, a blue circle with white wings. As the door opened, light poured out, revealing thousands of sleeping pods, each holding a human. He smiled faintly. "My brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up," the AI warned. "Revival sequence may destabilize nearby systems." He replied calmly, "Let them tremble." And as the first pods began to open, energy waves rippled through space. Entire star sectors flickered like candles in a storm. Across the galaxy, sensors screamed warnings, gravity distortions, dimensional rifts, rising energy signatures unseen for millennia. In their floating citadel, the Galactic Council watched in terror as the holographic map changed. Dozens of red human beacons appeared across their screens, blinking in perfect sync. "Activate the fleet," shouted the High Chancellor. But it was already too late. The humans were awakening, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The man looked once more into the stars, his expression calm but filled with unspoken fire. He whispered, "For too long we have slept. Now we reclaim what was ours." And the AI replied, "Welcome back, Commander Eric. The first human commander of the New Dawn fleet smiled. As the ancient engines roared to life, humanity's return had begun. The stars around the old Sol system burned brighter than they had in ages. Once silent planets were now surrounded by strange geometric patterns of light. Every beacon pulsed in rhythm with a deep, low hum that echoed through subspace. Across the void, the galaxy watched as humanity's cradle came alive again. Commander Eric stood before a great observation window inside the awakening station. Outside, fragments of ancient ships drifted like ghosts, the remains of humanity's last war. He turned to the AI beside him, a silver sphere floating quietly. "How many are awake?" he asked. Only 3,000 so far, the AI replied. But millions are still in stasis. Eric nodded slowly. We will need them soon. Far away, in the Zorth Dominion, panic spread through every empire. The Council had dispatched a full battle fleet, 2,000 warships armed with the strongest plasma weapons in the galaxy. Their orders were simple. Approach the Sol system, scan, and if necessary, destroy. But as their ships crossed the boundary of ancient human space, the stars around them went dark, navigation systems failed, communications died, and then the fleet vanished. Only one probe managed to send a broken transmission. It showed a human-made ship emerging from the darkness, massive, black, and silent. Its surface shimmered like living metal, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. A single word appeared on the probe's dying feed: Black Armada. Back on the human station, alarms flared as new power readings appeared. Deep under the surface of Mars, the Titan Forge reactor roared back to life. Old AI cores reconnected to the new network, sharing data lost for hundreds of millennia. The humans were not rebuilding. They were remembering. Eric's soul entered the command chamber, where holograms of Earth, Mars, and Jupiter floated around him. He pointed to the nearest beacon. Link all systems to the Black Armada. The AI responded, connection established. Suddenly, space bent and twisted before them. Through the rippling void, a colossal ship appeared, larger than any alien dreadnought ever built. Its name glowed faintly across the hull. HSS Eternity. Eric smiled faintly. The flagship still remembers her name. The AI added softly, she remembers your command as well. He placed his hand on the glowing console, and the ship came alive like a living being. Thousands of dormant drones awoke, filling the surrounding space like a metallic storm. Each one carried the old emblem of Earth, a symbol the galaxy had learned to fear. Meanwhile, across the stars, the alien empires were uniting in desperation. The Zorith, the Krell, and even the distant Varan alliance called for a holy coalition. They claimed the humans were abominations, monsters that must never rise again. But even as they planned, human signals multiplied faster than they could track. Whole star systems were being reclaimed, not by conquest but by activation. Human technology, hidden for eons, was waking up by itself. A Varan scout ship dared to approach the Sol perimeter. They saw Earth, blue and beautiful once more, floating in a golden energy field. Suddenly, a voice entered their minds, calm and cold. You are trespassing in human space. Before they could respond, their ship's systems froze, their engines shut down. Then they were gently pushed away by an invisible wave. When they returned, they realized no one among them could speak of what they had seen. On the human station, Eric's soul watched the stars with quiet resolve. He whispered, "They will come for us soon." The AI asked, "Do we attack first?" He shook his head. "No. We remember who we are. We defend. We adapt. We rise." But his eyes burned with something deeper, not just defense but destiny. As the fleet gathered around the HSS Eternity, thunder rolled across space. Each human ship carried an ancient core, powered by dark matter fusion and something even older. And in that moment, for the first time in nearly 1,000,000 years, the galaxy realized humanity had not evolved. It had transcended. In the halls of the Galactic Council, a single message blinked on their main screen. It came from human space, encrypted in a code no AI could break. When the message finally opened, four words appeared in burning light. We have returned, together. The council chambers fell silent. The empires trembled, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Because the last time humanity spoke those words, galaxies fell, and history was rewritten. The galaxy was no longer silent. Whispers of fear spread through every system, every broadcast, every ship that roamed the void. The name human was being spoken again, not in memory, but in terror. On the edge of the Zorth Dominion, the combined fleet of the Galactic Coalition assembled. More than 23,000 warships floated in formation, a storm of metal and plasma ready to strike. They called their mission Operation Cleansing Dawn. Their goal was simple: enter soul space and erase humanity before it could rise again. But deep inside the shadow of Jupiter's rings, humanity was already watching them. Commander Eric Sol stood aboard the HSS Eternity, his eyes reflecting the light of 10,000 awakening ships. "The Coalition is coming," the AI reported. "They bring every weapon known to the stars." Eric smiled faintly. "Then they will learn what the stars forgot." The human fleet did not move. It simply waited. Around them, space twisted with strange gravitational ripples. It was not a shield, not a weapon. It was something older, something impossible. The AI whispered, "Dimensional veil is active." Eric nodded. "Let them enter." The Coalition fleet crossed the boundary of human space. Their sensors went blind. Their radars screamed static. Then, one by one, their ships began to vanish from the map. Inside the command vessel of the Zorith Admiral, chaos reigned. "Where are they?" he shouted. "We're losing entire squadrons." But there was no answer, only silence, until the stars themselves shifted. The HSS Eternity appeared out of the darkness, silent and massive. Its black hull seemed to drink the light, bending reality around it. And then, without firing a single shot, every Coalition weapon deactivated. Power drained, targeting systems failed, shields collapsed. An unseen pulse rolled through space, freezing the entire armada in place. Eric's soul stepped forward, his voice calm but cold. "This is human territory," he said through every open channel. "You came with war, but you will leave with memory." The AI added softly, "Initiate Echo Protocol." Across the battlefield, human ships began to move, forming geometric shapes like a dance of light and shadow. Each movement released waves of energy that rewrote the battlefield itself. In seconds, the Coalition fleet was gone. Not destroyed, not killed, simply gone. Their ships now floated millions of light years away, on the edge of a dead galaxy. They would survive, but they would never find their way back. And in the heart of Sol, humanity stood victorious without a single casualty. Elsewhere, the alien High Council watched in disbelief. "This cannot be," whispered the Veyran Empress. "They control space itself." The Krell warlord slammed his claws on the table. "No, they are space itself." Old legends returned. Stories of humans who could fold stars and create suns with thought. They had laughed at those myths until now. Eric Sol looked over the glowing map of the galaxy. "Do you think they will stop?" the AI asked. "No," Eric replied. "They will come again, with fear and with hate." He turned toward the sleeping pods still opening in the lower decks. "Wake them all," he ordered. "The new dawn fleet must rise." As more humans awakened, memories of the old wars returned. Every soldier, every scientist, every commander carried fragments of forgotten technology. They spoke of the last war, the war that ended time itself. They remembered why humanity slept, not out of defeat, but by choice. To wait until the galaxy needed to remember who truly ruled the stars. Outside, the human armada expanded like a growing storm. The AI spoke again. "What is our next move, Commander?" Eric Sol's gaze turned toward the galactic core. "Home," he said quietly. "We go home, to reclaim the throne of light." The stars shimmered as if hearing his command. And somewhere far away, ancient machines buried in forgotten worlds began to awaken. The humans had not just returned. They had reconnected to something greater, the network that built the galaxies. As the Eternity fleet accelerated into the dark, the galaxy trembled once more. Because humanity was not rising for revenge. They were rising for dominion. The Black Fleet moved like a silent storm through the void. Every human ship glowed with faint blue veins of light, powered by ancient energy older than the stars themselves. The galaxy watched in fear as the Eternity fleet advanced toward the center of everything, the Galactic core, a place no living empire dared to enter. Commander Eric Sol stood on the bridge of the HSS Eternity, watching the stars stretch and twist around them. The core, he murmured, that's where it began. The AI beside him pulsed softly. It is also where it ended, Commander. Eric's gaze hardened. Then we finish what they started. Legend spoke of the Throne of Light, an ancient structure buried within the core, said to control the creation of galaxies. The alien empires believed it was a myth, but humanity knew the truth. They had built it long before they vanished, and now they were coming back to reclaim it. Across the galaxy, chaos reigned. The coalition leaders screamed for answers. Fleets gone, systems dark, trade collapsing. The Zorith Dominion tried to blockade human space, but their ships vanished into shadows. No one dared speak the word human anymore, because even the thought seemed to draw their gaze. Deep inside the core, space itself twisted into rivers of light and energy. There were no stars here, only currents of creation flowing like fire. As the Eternity fleet entered, the hulls of their ships began to shimmer, resonating with something unseen. The AI whispered, "Commander, the throne's signal is active." Eric closed his eyes, feeling a pulse deep inside his mind. A voice spoke, ancient, powerful, human. "Welcome back, children of Earth." The crew froze, their hearts racing. "What is that?" one officer gasped. "The heart of humanity," the AI replied. "It remembers us." A blinding light filled the command deck, showing visions. Earth's oceans, cities, and people long gone. It was not memory, it was history alive and breathing. Eric stepped closer to the main console, his voice steady. "Throne of Light, this is Commander Eric Sol of the New Dawn Fleet. Humanity has returned." The voice answered, echoing through every ship in the armada. "Then rise, my children, and reclaim the stars that forgot you." Outside, the energy of the core erupted like a newborn sun. The fleet absorbed it, transforming every vessel. Human ships became more than metal. They became living constructs of light and thought, each one linked to every other through the shared mind of humanity. In that moment, all humans awake in stasis felt the same thing: unity, purpose, destiny. They remembered who they were, what they once were. Creators, not conquerors, protectors, not destroyers. But they also remembered betrayal, the empires that had turned against them eons ago. At the same time, in the far reaches of the galaxy, the alien empires gathered their final alliance. Hundreds of worlds united under one desperate cause: stop humanity before it reached full power. The Krell warlord shouted, "If they reach the core, none of us will exist." The Varen Empress whispered, "Then we die fighting." And so, from the edges of the galaxy, came the largest fleet in history. 60,000 warships, countless drones and planet breakers, all moving toward the core. On the Eternity, the AI reported, "Enemy forces approaching, time to contact, 7 hours." Eric Sol looked out at the swirling light of the core, his expression calm but fierce. "Then 7 hours is all we need," he said, "to awaken the rest." He placed his hand on the command seal. Across the fleet, stasis pods opened, billions of humans rising from eternal sleep. The stars burned brighter, the core shook, and the light of humanity flared like dawn after endless night. When the alien armada arrived, they saw something that froze them in awe: an entire nebula alive with ships of light, each one glowing with human energy. It was not a fleet, it was an awakening, and in the center, the Throne of Light began to pulse like a beating heart. The final message spread through every human mind: we are not many nations, we are one species. As the alien fleets opened fire, the core erupted, space folded, stars screamed, and reality itself seemed to bow. The humans did not fire back. They moved like flowing energy, rewriting the laws of war. Every shot fired at them was absorbed, Every attack dissolved into light. Then, in one silent moment, the human fleet disappeared. The galaxy thought it was over, until every alien world saw a message appear in their skies, written in burning light. The dawn has returned. And so the galaxy realized the war had only just begun. Silence fell after the storm. The alien fleet was gone, their powers scattered like dust among the stars. But the galaxy was not calm. It was holding its breath. Something new was forming at the core, something beyond imagination. Commander Eric Sol stood at the center of the throne of light. His body shimmered faintly, half human, half energy. The AI voice echoed softly. "You are changing, Commander." He nodded slowly. "Not just me. All of us." All across the Eternity Fleet, the awakening continued. Humans were no longer only flesh and bone. Their minds connected through the throne's network. They could see through stars, move ships with thought, speak without words. They had become a single consciousness, billions thinking as one. But even within this unity, Eric's soul remained their heart, their focus, their leader. He felt their emotions, hope, fear, wonder, all flowing into him. And somewhere deep inside, he felt something darker, a memory buried since the beginning, the reason why humanity had vanished. He saw flashes, a war older than history, a war not between species, but between realities. Humanity had not fled from the galaxy. They had sealed it, to protect existence itself from something waiting beyond. The AI interrupted his thoughts. "Commander, energy fluctuations detected. It's not alien." Eric looked toward the core, where the light was twisting. From within the brightness came shadows, long, black shapes moving like smoke through fire. The AI whispered, "Dimensional breach detected." Eric's voice grew firm. "They're coming back." The galaxy's sensors lit up again. Every empire saw the same horror. Rifts opening across space. Creatures of pure void spilling out, devouring ships and planets alike. They were the ecliptics, the ancient enemy that had nearly ended creation. The same enemy humanity had fought in the Forgotten War. For the first time in millennia, the alien empires called for help. Their leaders broadcast the same message through the stars. To the humans, we surrender, we beg for alliance. But humanity did not answer. Not yet. Eric's soul stood before the throne and raised his hand. A wave of light spread from his palm, covering the galaxy like a sunrise. Human ships emerged from every corner of space, each one glowing brighter than suns. And then, finally, his voice reached every world, every being, every heart. "We are not your enemy," he said, his voice echoing through time itself. "We came back because the darkness is coming again." The alien leaders fell silent. They had feared the humans. Now they looked to them as their only hope. Eric's soul turned toward the AI. "Activate the last protocol." The AI hesitated. "You mean?" "Yes," Eric said. "The rebirth." In that moment, the throne of light expanded. It reached beyond the core, weaving through wormholes and nebulae. Stars began to pulse in rhythm with human thought. Every living world felt a strange warmth. And those who looked at the night sky saw constellations rearranging themselves into one symbol, the mark of Earth. Meanwhile, the ecliptic swarms closed in, devouring light itself. Their presence tore apart reality, turning stars into shadows. But the humans did not retreat. They stood between light and void, between life and nothing. And for the first time since the dawn of time, all species fought together. Zorith warships beside human dreadnoughts, Veyran cruisers flying in human formations. The galaxy had never been united, until now. Eric's soul opened a channel to the ecliptics. "You destroyed our worlds once," he said, his voice steady and cold. "But this time we are the storm." The humans unleashed their power. Not weapons, but energy drawn from the core itself. Every beam of light became a song of creation, rewriting matter and time. The ecliptics screamed as they disintegrated into nothingness. But the cost was heavy. The throne's energy was fading, the core destabilizing. The AI warned, if we continue, the galaxy itself may collapse. Eric Soul closed his eyes, then we give it life instead of death. He reached out, channeling every human mind through the throne. Together, they rewove the broken fabric of the universe. They didn't just save the galaxy. They rebuilt it stronger, brighter, alive. And in that new light, humanity became more than a legend. They became the foundation of creation itself. As the last of the ecliptics vanished, silence returned once more. The stars glowed softly, worlds healed, and the galaxy was reborn. But the humans were gone, their ships of light fading into the horizon. Only Eric Soul's final message remained, echoing through every world. When the stars grow dark again, look to the light. We will return. 10,000 years passed after the rebirth. The galaxy was different now, full of new life and new civilizations born from the light humanity left behind. The stars shone brighter, the worlds were peaceful, and yet every being felt the same ache, a question without an answer. Where did the humans go? Legends called them the architects. Others named them the children of the throne. Their monuments still stood, towers of white crystal on empty moons that sang softly when the wind blew. And whenever someone stood beneath the stars, they swore they heard voices in the light. On the edge of the Orion Rift, a young explorer named Lyra Vin found something no one should have found. A signal, faint and old, encoded in a language long dead. The translator barely understood it, but the message was clear. Do not seek us, we are not gone. Lyra's heart raced. She knew the stories. The humans had become light, had merged with the fabric of creation. But how could a signal still exist after 10,000 years? She followed the coordinates hidden inside the message. They led her beyond the charted maps, past dead systems and collapsed wormholes. At the same time, in the heart of the Varan Empire, strange phenomena began to appear. Ships vanished into mirrors of light. Time looped for seconds. Stars shifted color without reason. The scientists called it an echo event, but the elders whispered another name, the return. Lyra's vessel slipped through a crack in space that should not exist. On the other side was darkness, not empty darkness, but living shadow woven with light. Then she saw it, floating like a dream, a massive black structure, smooth, silent, and infinite. Its surface glowed with symbols she had only seen in ancient records. The mark of Earth. A voice filled her mind, gentle yet impossible to bear. You stand where we once fell. Lyra trembled. Are you the humans? The voice replied, we were, and we are, and we will be. Suddenly, the structure opened, revealing a city made of pure light. Figures walked within, humanoid but translucent, each one glowing like a living star. They looked at her not with eyes, but with understanding. One of them spoke, a voice like Eric Soul's, calm and commanding. We did not leave the galaxy. Lyra Vin, we became its guardians. Lyra fell to her knees, tears burning her eyes. Then why hide from us? She whispered. The figure answered, because the darkness you saw was not the last. Another cycle is coming, and you must be ready. At that moment, every AI in the galaxy activated on its own, displaying a symbol, the wings of Earth and a circle of light. Across 1,000,000 worlds, children looked to the sky and saw constellations rearranging again. The mark of the throne returned, burning bright in the heavens. Lyra's ship was bathed in white light, her mind filled with knowledge beyond comprehension. She saw visions, humans standing on the edges of reality, forging a barrier to protect creation. And she understood that the cycle of light and dark was not a war, but a balance. Humanity had become the keepers of that balance, waiting for the next generation to join them. When Lyra returned, no one believed her. They called her a dreamer, a mad explorer lost in the void. But years later, when the stars began to pulse again in perfect synchrony, the galaxy remembered her words. And from the depths of the void, a familiar voice spoke once more, clear and strong. "This is Commander Eric Sol. The dawn is not over. It is beginning again." The galaxy stood on the edge of another dawn. 10,000 years of peace had made the stars quiet, but that quiet was breaking again. All across the heavens, light flickered like a heartbeat returning after endless sleep. In the council hall of the Veyran Empire, leaders watched the skies tremble. "Every star is pulsing together," a scientist whispered, as if something underneath them is waking. They all remembered the stories, the humans, the throne of light, but none dared to speak their name aloud. Far beyond the galactic rim, Lyra then drifted among the glowing ruins of the human citadel. The light around her shifted like an ocean made of glass. She felt them again, voices countless and unified. "Lyra Vin, the time has come." She looked out at the void and saw it bending. A rift opened, vast, black, and endless, the same kind of tear that had once brought the ecliptics, but this was different, colder, older. Through it, a whisper leaked, a hunger from beyond creation. On every world, technology began to fail, gravity trembled, and time itself flickered. The new civilizations panicked, sending desperate signals into the stars. Only one message came back: "Hold fast, the architects are returning." From the darkness beyond the rift, shapes began to form, ships of impossible design. They were not made of metal, but of thought and light. Each vessel carried the essence of a human mind, a living spark of the old species. And at their head, shining brighter than any sun, was the HSS Eternity, reborn. Inside, Commander Eric Sol stood once more, though now his body was pure light. He was no longer a man, but the echo of a man who had become something more. He looked across the stars and smiled. "We told them we would return," he said, "and so we have." Lyra watched as the sky filled with radiance. Every world that had once feared humanity now opened its gates in awe. The alien fleets, ancient and proud, bowed their ships in salute. The children of the galaxy looked upward and whispered one name: human. Then, from the rift, the enemy revealed itself. A being vast enough to swallow suns, formed of broken dimensions and shadow. Its voice shook creation. "You cannot stop what must consume." Eric's soul answered calmly, "We do not stop, we create." He raised his hand, and the light of 1,000,000 human minds flared. Together, they merged with the energy of the throne itself. The galaxies aligned, the stars sang, and space folded into harmony. The creature screamed as its form unraveled, consumed not by destruction, but by order. The wound in reality closed, healed by pure unity. When the light faded, a new galaxy shone, larger, brighter, alive. Its stars formed the shape of a great winged circle, the ancient mark of Earth. Every being could feel it: peace, balance, and purpose. And within that calm, a final voice echoed through all creation. Humanity was never gone. We became everything. When you see the stars shimmer, remember, we are watching. Lyra Vin fell to her knees as the Eternity Fleet dissolved into golden light. She whispered, "Will you ever return again?" The voice of Eric's soul answered softly, "We always do, every dawn, every age, every dream." The light swept across her face, warm and infinite. The galaxy sighed, as if it too could breathe again. And thus the cycle continued, not of war or fear, but of guardianship and renewal. The humans had become the pulse of the universe itself, and every sunrise in every world carried their promise. The dawn never ends.